Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching us from. The goal of this session is to give you, the students, a clear understanding of each candidate's vision, policies, and leadership approach. Joining us today, from my left, we have Ryan Kipngetich, who promises improved student welfare, transparency, and communication with the administration. Then, Cris Karume, who emphasizes academic efficiency, sports development, and international student inclusion. And to my farthest left, we have Gikundi, who focuses on career development, market-ready skills, and inclusive decision-making. I ask that the candidates remain respectful and focus on policy rather than personal attacks. With that, we get started. What or who inspired you to run for this position? And if you were elected, what is the first issue you would tackle? We will start with Ryan.
Thank you for your question. I didn't quite get your name.
Sorry, my name is Nekesa, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. So my inspiration is I've grown believing that I'm a natural leader. Seeing that I've led in many avenues. In my 1.1, I endeavored to understand about this school and even decided to apply for posts in clubs. Ultimately became a delegate in the law school. And with that, I'll say the motivation came from the fact that I see I can offer a solution in a few areas and all the many areas that we can do within the year. I'll say truly that is my motivation.
Thank you. Over to you, Cris.
Thank you very much, Nekesa, for this opportunity, and I'm seated between three very educated and my opponents. So my inspiration for this SG position at Africa Nazarene University is the urge and the passion to be part of the service for the students. I believe that I am now in prime time whereby I can go for this position because I've been preparing myself to lead at this moment, and I now want to take it even in a broader way, in a broader perspective, because I know if I get the opportunity, I'll have a bigger platform to do that. So that has been my main inspiration. I'm inspired by the words of the President of the United States, the current one, Donald Trump, who said that seek opportunities to serve. So I like seeking opportunities to serve. Since this one, I go for it.
Very insightful. And lastly, Gikundi.
Oh, thank you so much, Nekesa, once again. And so the question that you just asked about inspiration, personally I would say it's been driven, it has been driven by my passion and love for ANU. I think as most of the people know, and even as you know, I'm one of the people who have served in many capacities in this school and been one of the most active students in this institution. So that love and that passion is what drove me to see that I have something more to offer to this institution, and service mostly to come with, and ensuring that even when we exit this institution, that you can leave something behind that you can be proud of even years to come, that indeed we did our best for ANU, and wherever it is, we contributed in one way or the other. That's my inspiration.
Thank you. Very wise words from very wise men. Over to the next question. All three of you claim to be the best choice for Secretary General. What do you believe is the single biggest failure of past students' councils, and why should we trust you won't repeat the same mistake? We start with Sam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In regards to the question about failure of past student council, I can say it's literally failure because in essence there's no leadership that is perfect. I'm not coming to this office to come and be a perfect leader. That is something that we cannot be able to achieve as human beings. But one thing I can promise is to do my best. I believe that the past student councils have been able or did their best, and if they did not, then that might be their failure. That did not fulfill what they had in their capacity. And what I can say now as I'm getting to this office is that I'm coming to give my best with everything that I have at my disposal, the experience that I've gained, the lessons that I've learned over time, the skills that I have, that I'll use them to the maximum and ensure that I've done it. And so the failure of previous student councils, maybe not, that they did not push to what we thought and the potential that we saw that they had. Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Oh, thank you. I want to believe that everyone who puts themselves forward to go for this position is fueled by service. And in the process, once you get to office, things might work out, things might not. And so one would be right to say the council failed, looking at manifestos. Another one will say the council performed, you see. But what I'll say is, I'll just speak to the post that I have applied for, which is the Secretary General's position. I think I would like to commend even past councils. They've tried as much to communicate as it's the mandate of the SG. They've tried to advertise events. And I'll speak particularly of the Valentine's event. The marketing of this event happened like a week to the event, you see. And what I would like to do different is try to push for approvals with the Executive Council for these events, and then ultimately we give more time to market. Because you find that it's the day when the event is happening, you find someone outside, you ask them, because I myself participate in events that happen at school. You ask someone and they say they didn't know. So that will now suggest that there is something that needs to be done. And I'll say the past regimes did what they could. The only thing that we can promise is to do much better, to even do something different, rather than actually pin them down for whatever they do.
And finally, Mr. Karume.
Yes, thank you for that, Nekesa. Allow me not to frame any government or previous regime as failure, but let me say that maybe they did not do it right in terms of I'm looking at feedback from students, especially on events and prescribing events to students. So that is something that maybe they did not do right. That's one. Another thing that I think has not gone right is another thing that has not gone right is when we don't communicate student grievances or student issues or concerns as matters of priority. You know, it's about communication and how you do it. Are we doing communication the right way to the administration? Because of late I've heard of issues in the university whereby students are just raising issues in terms of student rights, in terms of student services, in terms of their welfare, and which are affecting them. But again, are they being addressed as matters of concern, as matters of priority, or are they being addressed in a way that the university will just assume that it's just a way of passing? You know? So that's what I could say it's not doing right, and I've also mentioned on the matter of feedback.
Ryan proposes a council magazine. Sam wants regular Makau meetings, and Crispina's emphasizes delegate raising issues. What happens when students feel their voices are still not being heard? What is your plan B? We start with Mr. Cris.
Yes, and I think that is a follow-up question to what we have just answered here. When students are raising their issues, concerns, and grievances, and they feel like they're not being heard or addressed, because sometimes the university chips in the student council, which is mandated to be the link between the students and the university and even the external bodies that we come on board to elevate, to improve the welfare or the lives of students. So when these issues are raised and they're not addressed the rightful manner, I know that I, as the Secretary General, in fact, am mandated with that role according to the student and also constitution, which provides that I am the link between the students and the the university and the student council, I will take measures. For example, I believe that communication is the solvent of all world problems. If we can manage to communicate right, there will be no world problems or minimum world problems. So with that, and also serving a council which is sharing a vision, which will be driven by the student council president and all the leaders therein, we will push to ensure that all these issues are addressed as matters of concern, as matters of priority and urgency. And again, I know that students may be agitated, but it's a matter of telling them how the situation was, how we raise their issues, and the feedback from the administration. I know it may sometimes people raise their concerns in different ways, because people may end up going in ways that may breach the university regulations, and that's not the way we want to go at all. We want to solve things the rightful way. It is diplomacy and communication. So that's it.
You did not answer my question. My question was, what is your plan B if the university does not listen to you? You keep on saying communication this, communication that, but what if communication fails?
Okay, plan B. Plan B must always be resorted to when you have to. So in terms of, for example, you're sourcing for funds for events or funding some activities related to students, plan B is going out there and looking for sponsors. Mm-hmm. Because the students have given me the opportunity, the capacity to act as their representative. With the student council, just as I mentioned, we can go out there and source for funds. But again, the university just has to listen to our demands.
But students have been saying the university hasn't been listening. So what makes you different?
So what makes me different is what I mentioned. And again, we always, with the students, of course, because I'm the representative, the council is the representative. We draft complaints, even indirectly, or through me, of course, to ensure all these things are addressed well. Yes.
Mr. Ryan, over to you.
Thank you. So what then happens when the student concerns are not heard by the administration? Indeed, the Secretary General is the person who has to be the link between students, the admin, and even the council. And they have to push for the concerns of the students. Now what happens is, when we get concerns from the students, we have to take them to the administration. But you don't just put it on their table as problems. We propose solutions to the council, tell them what happens if you don't listen to these students. Because I'm sure the school will have a good image out there. I've heard friends who say, I cannot recommend my cousin to come here. So I'm sure the school will not want like 100 of us having the same thing in mind. So what then happens is, there are issues that you can address as a council, other than ask the school to source funds and do this. We can try to address them as a council. And then what I propose, something that has not been done for a while now. Some of the concerns are not even known by the council, because you find that there's no channel from one course, let's say mass communication. There's no person telling them these things. And in my manifesto, I've suggested that I have sittings with delegates once every month. And in this case, then we'll understand everything that we are going through. And in as much as the council should ask questions and present these concerns, it is my mandate as the Secretary General to ask people to ask questions through emails. I have myself, and I would love that if all of us are suffering from the same things, all of us should ask questions. And ultimately, if everyone is suffering from the same thing, who wise enough will downplay that?
If I'm getting you right, you're saying some matters will be taken into your own hands.
That is not my submission. You have misquoted me.
It's a yes or no question. Will matters be taken in your own hands?
No.
Okay. Mr. Sam?
So thank you so much. First of all, I appreciate my friends. They've really shared a lot in regards to just the question you asked when the school does not listen. I believe I've been in this school for quite some time, and I do agree with some of the decisions that some of the issues are not being heard. They are being listened to, but they're not being heard. There's a difference to that. That we can raise issues, but nothing happens. That is listening. That I'm listening to you. But when I hear you, I listen, comprehend, understand, and get a solution to it, or we take together. One of the key things that I believe in my leadership is collaboration. I believe that all of us, all the key stakeholders of this institution, don't want to see this institution fall. It's been 30 years of building. We wouldn't want to build something for 30 years and just see it fall. So that's why in my manifesto, the three key pillars that I decided to have, that I'm banking on this time around, is honesty, objectivity, and transparency. I think for the longest time we have always had issues, but we have lacked the fact of honesty, whereby you don't have to be brutally honest, but you bring out the issues if they are mentioned by the students. That is one of the things. You see that a student raises an issue in such a way, the student council probably or someone probably there miscommunicates this problem in a way that maybe does not seem so good either with the administration up there. Secondly, objectivity, that we put away emotion, we put away all these other factors, and we focus on the real problem. For instance, the psychology students raised an issue about their classes and then the stress students are at night. You don't address the issue of this. You have to be objective with this issue. How are you going to address it? Who is the relevant person to go through? Because if I go and raise it to the dean does not have the mandate to deal with academic issues. That is the work of the DPC, the academics, and the registrar probably in that essence. So we have to be objective now we handle our issue. Second, transparency. I think one of the things that in some essence, some things that have failed or we have lacked is transparency in communication. You know, how can we as a school hear some very important news through social media? It beats the essence. So this is something that the transparency of issues that were raised, the follow-up, keeping students on track on how things are flowing, where the issue has hit a bump, then that will be one of the issues that will be able to, some of these problems, we may not even need a plan B. And that's why I believe in my class so much that I don't think I need to have a plan B when we need to execute issues of students. That when we address students in issues in an honest manner, in an objective manner, and transparent manner, then we'll be able to address what students are going through. And if it gets to somewhere where we cannot really agree, then we have to have a sit down with all the key stakeholders and they tell us what is the issue, because I'm a key believer of critiquing rather than criticizing. And this is the difference. Criticizing is just pointing out issues without solutions. I prefer when somebody points out issues and at least suggests a solution so that we see how we can do it. I believe that there is no problem, no issue that does not have a solution. As long as we sit down together with good heart and good faith, then we can come up with a solution. And these students who have the solutions, and the administration, I'm sure, I believe, that they're ready to hear them and work upon them. And even if they can't, then they can be able to provide an alternative solution. Which students will agree on that? It's subject to discussion.
Thank you. On to our next question. The Secretary General position requires negotiation with the university administration. What will you do if the administration repeatedly rejects student concerns you bring forward? We'll start with Mr. Ryan.
Indeed, when you have an idea, you prosecute the idea to its final implementation, you have to negotiate. You point out something, you give suggestions, say the implications of it, and ultimately the person on the other end will reason with you. With that, then, I don't think if we have a different way of addressing issues, as I have earlier stated, other than we just collect all the concerns of students, put it into an idea, maybe we need more lecturers, let's say. We go there telling them, you need lecturers. You see, we do not have lecturers. This school ought to have lecturers. We go and reason with them. For this essence, let me give an example that is actually in my manifesto. If we do not have enough lecturers, let's say for mass communication, how many lecturers do we have?
4.
You have 4. Are they enough? That is debatable. So if we need more lecturers, let's say for a particular unit or a particular course, we can have our senior students who are talented academically. They can be taken in as assistants to lecturers, and ultimately the expensive salaries will not be given to lecturers who are, I believe, the school's concern is if we take in more lecturers from out there, we will not have money to pay them. But then if we have senior students who are, let's say, graduating and they are gifted academically, they can be taken in and given a compensation that is safe to the school's budget. If then we reason in that manner with even other problems that we have, like in sports as well, ultimately I don't think we do not have a solution in the long run.
You have mentioned something about university lecturers' salary being expensive. How sure are you about that information, or is it just a rumor?
With that, I will not say adducing rumors. I will not even quote figures, but then I will say, what is the conclusion when we do not have enough lecturers? The conclusion ultimately will be the school cannot employ lecturers, and that gives us the impression that maybe it's happening financially, and we have to suggest solutions for us to survive and even compete against other schools.
That is a very interesting take. Mr. Sam?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nekesa. In regards to negotiation, I would say one thing. Everything seems, everything seems impossible until it's done. Okay? And so, first of all, as you say that it's negotiation with the administration, and we are in an instance where they have rejected these negotiations. I believe when you go to negotiations, you don't go with the idea of rejecting. Negotiation is where we come and sit down and discuss, put the ideas on the table. And I believe that during negotiations, in one or the other, you might agree to disagree, but you cannot disagree fully. You might be in this point, we don't feel like this can go this way because of 1, 2, 3. So one of the key things I would like, when I will be in that position, I would better want to understand is the reason behind it. And as I said, my key thing this time is objectivity and transparency. If they claim that this is the issue, as Anna said, they are claiming maybe the issues, for instance, salary. Let's say that it's just an instance that we're using. If that is the issue, then how do we solve it? Because there's no way we love an issue and we sit uncomfortably and allow it to eat us. At the end of the day, things need to be solved. Okay? And then there are things that we don't even need to negotiate so much about. Things like academics are not things to negotiate about. I believe that even you and all of us are seated here and have been given this even opportunity to serve because of academia. So these are matters that need to be solved quickly and hasten in this matter and to ensure that the best solution is found. Secondly, issues like meals. These are not things we can sit and discuss about. It's things of, do we have a solution? Let's use the nearest solution that is there as we look for a long-term solution. So the other key thing I would like to do during that moment, I will also discuss with previous student councils and secretary generals to understand why and what has been the reason behind the administration maybe rejected some of these things. It might be their way of approach. We cannot just assume the administration just refuses or the people responsible just refuse negotiations or some of the solutions brought. We need to look what has been the challenge, where is the problem. If we don't get to the root of it, then we'll always be repeating such questions, rejection. These questions have been there since I was in first year. Then what is the solution? So one thing I believe is that all of us, as I said again, all the key stakeholders, from the faculty to the staff to the students, would not want this institution in any way to be in a bad state. I want to believe they have goodwill in their hearts. And with that belief, I believe that when we sit down for negotiation, we are discussing about how to grow this institution, to build it, and to solve the issues that are there. So that will be my approach. I don't believe that rejection is merely just rejection. There's a cost rejection, and when you find the cost, then you deal with it. But solutions must be found in one way or the other. They need to be found. Otherwise, the issues are affecting the key stakeholders, who are the students. And when students are affected, then the institution in one way or the other is deteriorating, which is a bad instance. So as the Secretary General, through communication skills, through my skills that I've gotten, the experience that I've gotten, we'll have to sit down and negotiate and come up with a solution in one way or the other. We might get to a stalemate, but there's always room for conversation and other means of getting to a decision. Yes.
Just to backtrack on your words, you said something about meals.
Yes.
How meals are non-negotiable for university students. A lot of us, I personally, have been complaining about the prices in the trees of the cafeteria. What would be your approach?
So the approach?
On the meal?
Quantity.
Yeah, not quantity, quality, quantity, prices.
Prices.
Yeah. Most students believe that the prices are unfair for a comrade. And the previous regime, or the outgoing regime, has brought up the issue, and they came to a conclusion, as they were, and came to us, the students, and said the prices will remain constant. Are you open for change, or will it remain the same with you?
Well, I think first of all, I speak as a comrade, saying first of all, chapati being 30 bob is a bit expensive. That 10 bob is hurting me as someone who actually lives outside and have to get up for so many things like and all that. But as you have said, an issue like prices is something that we need to talk about. It's a conversation that we need to have. You know, the previous council action, if you do remember, the prices were a bit higher. Chicken was, I think, on 50, and then they negotiated for it to go down to 120. Okay, so I don't believe that is a sign of good. Will I be wrong doing that? I don't believe that is a sign of good that they will reduce from 150 to 120. Then I don't think there will be any hard thing for us to have a conversation again in regards to the same, to be able to get prices that will be favorable to comrades. Because remember one thing, that this comrade is very important to even the working of this cafeteria. Okay, because this cafeteria cannot exist without these comrades. And if they're saying these prices that they are high, then the school or the administration needs at least to hear the students. I would propose that we will come up with the students, and we will have a discussion with the students, come up with prices that they feel are fair, table them to the administration, and we find a decision and a solution that will be able to cater for this. The reason why I'm saying it's non-negotiable is because food is it's a basic need. We study in class 1, until we have studied, food is one of the basic needs. And the moment you are hurting students when it comes to foods, then that means other factors in school will be affected, from even academics, even involvement in social activities like clubs and circles and sports. So that means that we need to solve some of these issues. And I believe that if they were able to reduce from 150 to 120 that chicken, then they can reduce the chapati from 30 to 20. We can talk about the soda coming from 45 to 40 probably. We can have conversations around this and see what would be favorable for both the cafeteria, because we don't also want to hurt them to an extent that they go bankrupt. We also need to be a bit realistic. Even if we find the machine maybe for rate of 1 million chapatis, you can see, and that was on the light note. But we need to find a solution that will cater for the comrades and also balance out the needs of the cafeteria in terms of making it still sustainable and still the administration in handling student matters.
Just cancelled up my follow-up question. What about the caterers at Trees of Vying?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Cris, thank you for your patience. Okay, on to you.
Okay, so I believe that my intentionality for going for this seat will answer this question, because even as in getting my manifesto, I've stated that we need to address student issues as matters of urgency, especially as priority. So if we go to the university administration again and again, they're rejecting what students are agitating for or requesting for. That, for me, I don't expect that to happen fast, because the way I'll address these issues will make sure that the university sees need in making sure that they are solved as soon as possible. And I'll give an example. Just as some here stated, in terms of cause why, the causes why things are happening that way, or why they have rejected. First, we need to seek and make sure we are told why they are rejecting our request. why they not granting the comrades whatever they want. That's one. After they state their cases, for example, the issue of Trizabel, the cafeteria, issues of prices going up and then they were reduced a little bit. I stand to be corrected on this, but I know we had a shift in the service providers for the cafeteria. So because of that, and they had no contract, they came in as a makeshift, they used their own prices. I'm yet to confirm if they have a contract or not, because if they have a contract, because I remember that was talked about by the student council when they were telling us about why the prices will not go as lower than we expect, especially for chapati. I was saying as a comrade, chapati should just be 20 bob or below. They used to state something like the quality when it began, but again, if I check well, the current quality, I don't want to speak more about it, but it speaks for itself. Is it worth that? So the way we address issues will matter so much. So I don't see it. I don't see to it that these issues will go on again and again, not being addressed by the school administration, because first of all, we make sure we address them or we report them to the administration in the rightful manner. But we also are ready. I'm ready. Of course, I'll be serving a council with a team if I'm given the opportunity. I'm ready to propose possible solutions, and these solutions will come from the capacity given to represent the university in sourcing funds for activities and events. There are several solutions which can be offered. For example, why don't we have something like a substitute cafe for in regards to prices, which has favorable prices for maybe the scholars, or now someone does not have to be to depend on the monopoly we have for the food. They have an option. So those are some of the solutions we can propose, and that can also be an opportunity even for businesses, for students here at Nazarene, because what if a student now comes in and become the solution in that and solve the larger problem?
Some follow-up questions for you. Let's start with the monopoly. You are suggesting that they introduce a competitor for Trizabel so as to fair the prices, yes or no?
Yes.
You have also said we are a Y generation. The generation Z is, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? How will it benefit us? But you do understand we are speaking to a totally different generation where they don't question whys. So their methods of teaching or coming to decision making and all that do not expect the Gen Zs to ask why and just to go with it as they are the main authority, if you do understand what I'm saying. So how would you bridge the gap between the Generation Z and the millennials that are in power, per se?
I would say that I don't think that's really the problem, or it could be a problem, because the Gen Zs have been here for a while now. We have seen the advocacy done by the Gen Zs for a while now, and the millennials are aware of that. Those who are not Gen Zs are aware of how Gen Zs handle matters. They are aware of this why questions which Gen Zs ask. So even until now, I'm sure the administration has faced that, and maybe if they have not raised the issues, just their stubbornness, if I may say that, and not the fact that we are different generations. Yes.
Thank you. We will now move to the students' welfare and financial challenges section. My question goes first to Ryan. Each of you has a plan to help struggling students. Mr. Ryan wants to expand Frida Comrade. Mr. Sam proposes the Comrade for Comrade initiative, and Mr. Crispina suggests a Visit a Comrade program. If elected and the university says it cannot provide additional funds, how will you ensure these programs still succeed? Mr. Ryan?
So, when coming up with this idea, I thought of such a backlash. seeing that the school will always say maybe they have limited resources, and so they have to capitalize on where to invest and where not to. Speaking of Frida Comrade program, it has not been a popularized avenue, rather opportunity in our Africa Nazarene University.
I personally came to learn about it today in the morning. What taxi? That's when I learned it's a feeder comrade program in Nazarene.
Yeah, and one thing is we have to popularize this because it is indeed something that we need. Seeing that I have friends who cannot afford 3 meals a day. They survive on 1 meal or 2 meals a day. You see? It might not be a decent meal, but someone just has to eat to survive. And I'm sure with that concern that the school, if it grows its financial muscle, it can allocate more funds to it. And other than asking the school for more allocations towards this fund, I intend to come up with my own ways of generating this money. And one of the ways that we'll always resort to as Africans, we have to have fundraisers. In the past, we've had associate dinners. Ever since I came, I'm certain it addresses the fees programs, but then it also comes with parts towards catering for meals for the students. Ultimately, if we have enough funds, and in my manifesto, I have proposed that we'll have this opportunity given to every student who deserves, not every student that is in Africa Nazarene. We are not all from the same background. There are those who can afford the meal, there are those who can. And if we roll it out on an application basis, we will be in a position, after getting more funds through fundraisers and through even generous donations from schools and even well-wishers, we will have more funds, and that will be allocated to students only on an application basis. I've had, don't call them rumors or words, they might be true. This opportunity is given to friends of the student camps. That is what people say.
Yeah, I was told by someone who is a beneficiary of the program, you had to email the president personally to get the program. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to use that to even further my political ambitions or to get loved by my friends. I want this fund, or rather this opportunity, to go to the most deserving. That then speaks to even a core value of this school, which is a community. And I believe this, even the Nazarene believes, see to it that we cater for the needy in the society. And with that, really, I believe we will achieve that.
Just a follow-up question. You have repeatedly saying the word most deserving. What is most deserving? Or what criteria would you use to ascertain who is most deserving?
Okay, so the criteria, as I have stated, this opportunity will be given on application basis. And when you apply, you state why you need this opportunity.
What are the requirements, or what would be the requirements in that application form?
It's like applying for a scholarship. You always state that maybe you come from a low background family, maybe your mother or your father earns, let's say, 20,000 a month, so that will not be sufficient to cater for your fees, your food, you see. And after a scrutiny of those applications, you will tell indeed this student's need is most deserving, as you have rightly put.
Thank you. Mr. Cris?
Yes, I believe I should talk about visitor comrade, which is one of my priorities in my manifesto. So my vision for visitor comrade is very big. I am looking at that student who is having less than 2 meals a day. I'm looking at that student who doesn't have even up, doesn't have rent, maybe that doesn't even have a house because their doors have been locked because of not paying rent. I'm looking at a student who has issues again with the school fees, but again struggling even in his basic or her own basic needs. I'm looking at all genders, of course. So what if?
Before you proceed, what is upkeep?
Okay, upkeep is the money which, the amount which any comrade needs to address their personal defects. Yes, so a comrade needs to buy food, a comrade needs to buy some clothes, a comrade needs to do some assignments and then bring something out. So that's upkeep for me. So I've said I'm looking at that. What if now, according to my manifesto, which is very intentional, of course, I want to make sure this is as plan one. What if we visit a comrade? What if we source funds first, visit a comrade, at least have some good time with them? I don't believe in publicizing so much because we are addressing the welfare of comrade, and we don't need to label them as struggling or we are helping this one. What only needs to happen is to go and visit them, have some good time. Someone who can carry each other, checking on their progress, leaving some shopping for them if necessary, some amount for their upkeep, and even if possible, pay some rent for them. But this Nekesa cannot be achieved if we don't get the funds. So number one resort is to go to the university and source for funds and request them to approve and sponsor this great initiative. Number two, not as a backup plan or a plan B, but just to complement it and make it even broader and bigger, or so that we have more beneficiaries, is to get out there to like individuals. We are talking of Nazarene as a church, as a university church, as a church rather than a university. We have compassion in them. If they see this, not 100%, but I'm quite having some surety that they will step in and bring in some funds. Talk of sponsors out there, these organizations which believe in helping out. They'll come through and I'll push for that. So visit a comrade. I've not talked about the formula which I intend to use. Maybe if you allow me to do that. So I don't really think of making applications. Of course, it's one of the ways again we can use. But that should not be the dream. We know these people, one. I know some of them, not all. Some of them won't apply. And I can tell you with surety that some of them don't want to be seen as vulnerable. But we know them. What if we create Google Forms for other people to fill? Or if someone will fill for themselves, still okay, just suggesting names. And that Google Form remains confidential within the student council. And I'm talking of a student council which has a vision to help out and elevate each and every comrade. Not just one or two, or gifting friends, because that may come up again if we don't remain objective. So the formula is we identify through delegates, we identify through people we already know, because that's someone who we know knows someone else who is struggling. So that's the formula I intend to use, so that we can touch at least, if not every struggling comrade, those who are direly in need of this.
You have said you do not want to publicize the students who are benefiting from Visit a Comrade, or do you not want to publicize the whole thing, or is it just the students?
I don't want to publicize the students. I don't want them to lose their self-confidence. Some of them may do that, so I don't want to end up there. But this program must be publicized. And if we have the Google Forms being shared through student emails, through the student forum, WhatsApp groups, that is already publicity. So the issue will be publicized, but the students who are benefiting, not really.
Thank you. Mr. Sam?
Oh, thank you so much, Nekesa. First of all, let me say that I think Nazarene is safe. Having heard from my young friends, I feel like whoever gets in the Nazarene is a bit safer because they can feel the urge to serve. And now my initiative, which is called the Community Initiative, is more a situation whereby we have tried this. I'm not trying anyway to replace the Feed a Community Initiative. It's actually one of my manifestos that's still to expand it and to make it better and to streamline it in that regard. But the Community for Community Initiative, this is providing a platform to those people who are well able and they feel that they want to help. We have philanthropists in this school, students who come from families that are maybe a bit well off, and they may feel like they have something extra. So I was thinking about this initiative. I thought about, let me use a good example of what Eric Omoni does with the CC Pacific initiative. He tries to help, and you've seen how many people have been helped with this initiative. That means that there are people, a lot of people who have the hearts of helping other people. And so the thing is this, we want to create a kit whereby we provide a platform for students, fellow teammates, to donate and give out anything that they feel they want to give out. And through that kit, we will be able now to spread it out to the students who are needy. In the regard of what? This is not only limited to fiscal matters or financial matters in this case. It is also in terms of maybe you have extra shopping. You know, the people who can school here, they finish working their semester and they have extra soaps, extra clothes or something that they feel like, hey, you know what, I want to expose this. Instead of exposing them, they can decide to donate that for us. Because I do realize, and I can give you examples, there are students who are not able even to travel home during holidays. They remain around. What happens to the students during that time? We can be able to help them with some of these materials that have been donated. So we are seeking, and I'm seeking for a way that I'm not going to only give them a fish. I want to also give them a fish in each manner. That we will also try. One of the other ways of getting donations and materials for this kit, community initiative, is also using alumni. We have alumni who were helped by maybe Frida community associate, and they feel so, philanthropic that they would like to help somebody else. Maybe with school fees, maybe with meals, maybe something that they have. Some of them are leading big companies. We use those partnerships, we use those sponsors to be able to come through. And when they bring to this kit, as the student council, as the secretary general, we then do a good, well-researched, system that will be able to identify needy and well-researched. And it's very important. The people who are deserving of this, not people who are friends of some, not people who know some, but people who really deserve to be helped. Because we know them. Unfortunately, we lost a student the other day because of Halcom Journey. And later on, as we were like, this and this should not have happened, and we're like, where were we when he was going through this? And so this is what me as a student, as the Secretary General, I would like to address. And in a manner that we are not demeaning anyone, but we are coming through for our own comrade, our own brother, our own sister, without shame, holding each other. And what else will this build? It will build love amongst the Nazarene community. When I know I've been helped by my fellow brother, that whatever I've used right now, somebody has related, I will even have more love for this institution. And what will that do? I will contribute more. That even maybe when I am uplifted, because some of them may be a situation where they're just going through some small financial situation. When they're uplifted there, you never know, they will come back. So it becomes something that is quite generational, that will live, even outlive me, and will outlive even the councils that will come, to be able to ensure that comrades in this institution have the best life and are given everything they need to excel academically and even in their social lives. Please.
What will you do to make sure students don't take advantage of this program? Because honestly, with this economy, if you find an easy way out of getting groceries or clothing or personal necessities, why would I use my own money and pay something for free?
Yeah. I took note of that, and that is something that is one of the challenges actually that has even been there for the Frida comrade and associate, But one of the things that I'll do, and in this regard, is we create an independent committee made up of students who are honest, who have been vetted and been seen honest and have integrity in regards to following up on these issues. How we will even be able to use class representatives. These people are more close than we are. I cannot say I know all the classes, but these people know their classmates. They know what they're going through. We'll also be able to take some of the beneficiaries of previous, maybe Frida comrade initiative or associate. So we'll create a committee that will be independent in its own, just like the way the associate committee is independent from the student council as much as The student council is the one that came up with the association. We have a committee independently that will be able to verify all the applications that are coming through and be able to ensure that there is fairness and whoever gets it is most deserving. It doesn't mean that we'll solve all of it. Obviously, there's someone who will really take advantage that people will be able to do that. But that is not our goal. Our goal is the heart that we're dealing with. And even God can attest to where we want to help and how we want to help. And we believe that the most beneficiaries will be those who are serving and those who really need this help. Otherwise, it saddens me that students in this institution of ours, are even missing classes because of lack of means. Because of lack of rent. Some of them don't have somewhere to sleep. Some of them don't have even clothes to wear. The person can't even come to class because maybe the clothes that they wear. The situations that students are going through, I'm not going to discuss them here. But these are what we want to do. And we can be able to provide a platform that does not need so much funding from the school, but that is innovative and that will be able to come from ourselves and even from sponsors. Another way that we can be able to raise this money, I don't know if you have ever seen tents that are pitched here, banks and everything. These banks, as they pitch their tents here to market and everything, there's a certain amount of money that they give to the institution because of the market expense. I really understand that. So some of this money, these sponsorships, is what we'll be able to take, probably 10%, 5%, and put it in this kit to be able to help students. So yes, that is what I want to do in that regard.
I'm being informed our time is up, so very briefly, individual questions for you guys. Mr. Cris, if you could only fulfill one promise from your manifesto, which one would it be and why? Very briefly.
Thank you for giving me. I almost had to ask for permission to say it, but let me go to this directly. I'll make sure I fulfill the policy and communication matter to the university students, because I am aware that with that only we can solve every other problem that exists here. So ensuring that student concerns, grievances are addressed to the university in the rightful manner and as matters of priority, urgency, and matters that need to be given a solution as soon as possible. Yes.
Mr. Ryan, leadership is all about sacrifices. If you had to cut one, school events to raise more money for the scholarships, the associate, the basketball, the work-study scholarships, will you give it up to ensure the success for students? And if you won't, why?
Okay. For events that presents a chance to get more funds to address all these other challenges, it will not be prudent for me to sacrifice that. But for an event that is capital intensive, that we have to get much money out of our pockets, then we indeed have to sacrifice that so that we can save more funds to address all these other concerns that I would really love to address.
And finally, Mr. Sam, if you fail to deliver a key promise, will you admit it publicly? And how will you handle criticism from the students and the administration?
Thank you. So can you come again with the question?
If you fail to deliver on a key promise, will you publicly admit that? And how would you handle criticism from the students and the administration?
Okay. I'll first of all say that I'm not one person who shies off to accepting that in one way or the other I've not been able to achieve everything. I do understand I'm human and I'll do my best. But one of the things that I can say is that I will not let it to get there, especially at keep promise. One person who believes when you promise, you deliver. Whatever you promise, at least make sure you deliver. If you've not delivered, then you've started it. That whoever comes in can be able to work on it and push it. So I don't think you'll never get there. But if it does get there, and there's criticism from the students who are putting on the things that I've not been able to do, which I believe, and God forbid, will not happen, then I'll be able to take it as as a leader, be able to take it nicely, look into it, and introspectively look at myself and see where I failed, and then just look for a solution. As I said again, I am more of a solution-based leader. I want to see you have pointed out that I've not done this. Where did I go wrong? Where did I sleep? Where did I go wrong? It may not even be for me, but for the next leaders that are coming, so that I tell them, you see here, don't fall here, don't cheat here, skip this, do this better. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. So you've heard from them. You've heard from your vying Secretary Generals. I wish you had more time, but we don't. There will be a debate on Tuesday, if I do believe. Feel free to attend. It will be at the Janigan, and you'll get your personal chance to ask them questions and read their manifestos. They have really good manifestos, and may the best one win. Thank you.
Thank you so much.